Hello quilt artisans, my name is Shonda and welcome to my channel, Under the Needle Quilting and Crafts. So, last year for Christmas, well first I want to apologize to my subscribers. I did not make a video yesterday for Thankful Thursday. I did the 3-hour live with the Greenland quilter, and after that I did not have it in me to make another video because I had to cook and then other household things, and I got a little tired. So I'm here today. This is going to be a long video because I'm actually doing a tutorial today, which I don't normally do tutorials, but I'm doing them today. I want to show you guys 3 really fast things that you can make for the upcoming holiday. Christmas is in 10 days, and these projects are so easy that you could literally make them on Christmas Day. You could literally make them Christmas Day and then take them to someone's house. That's how fast they are. So the 3 things that I'm making are, we've got these velvet or fur, let's see, ponytail holders. So we got these. We have a key fob, and we have a tissue holder, a little travel tissue holder. Okay, these are the things that I'm making this year. Last year I made bowl cozies. Bowl cozies are fast. These are faster and less fiddly. I hate sewing the darts for the bowl cozies. You know, the bowl cozies, you gotta cut your fabric, cut your batting, right? Okay, then you gotta sew that X in each side of the batting, right? And then you've got to make those 4 darts on each side, so that's 8 darts total, and then you got to fit them together, and then you got to sew around the perimeter, and then you got to flip it over, you know, tuck the edge in, and then top stitch around it. It is a quick project, but I want something quicker because I'm doing multiples. I'm doing lots and lots and lots. So let me show you, right? Hold on. Here we go. Those are all my key fobs and all my tissue holders. So I think I've got about 16 key fobs. I'm going to make another 16. And I've got 48 tissue holders. So let me put that back. So for this year, I would like to give all the women in my family a velvet scrunchie, a tissue holder, and a key fob, which I left over there, but that's okay. So we're going to start with the ponytail holder. Now these are just some cheap ponytail holders I bought off Amazon just for myself. You got 100 of them, and I don't know if it was like $8 or something like that. I know you can get them on Temu also. Now I'm just using these. They're black. Now, if I was going to sell these, I would probably try to get more colors and try to match the color to the yarn is what I would try to do, or at least have it be in the same color family. That way, when you do spread this thing apart, it's a little bit more seamless. You know, you can see that black in there. Now, this is gray, so it's not so bad. But this one here, you can really see that black poking through. So, like if I had had a white one or baby blue, that would have been a better look. Now, I did one with the fur, and this is Lion Brand Go for Faux Thick and Quick. This is a 7 jumbo weight yarn. I actually didn't like using this. I actually think I preferred the velvet. I preferred the velvet or the chenille, whatever you want to call it. I preferred this to this. In general, this is going to be a cheaper option anyway. This yarn is about $8 a skein. I got it on sale for $2. So if I hadn't, I probably would not. If I had paid $8, I would not have used the yarn to make this. I guarantee you I would not have. But I only paid $2 for it, so I figured why not make a couple, right? But after I made this one, I was like, I don't really like it. So I do like the chenille. And what I am using today is Baby Bee Adorable Super Bulky in the color Toy Elephant. I purchased this at Hobby Lobby. This was on clearance for $1.24. This is a 6 weight. Now what I did was I wanted to know realistically how many of these I could get from one ball of yarn. So I actually measured my yarn. So I measured my yarn tail, and I think I clipped it at 4 yards, and then I clipped it again at 6 yards. Not clip. When I say clip, I don't mean clip as in cut. I took like a binder clip. I don't see it around here right now. I took like a binder clip, oh, because it's on my yarn. I took a binder clip and put it on there, right? And I knew that that was, when I got to that clip, that would be 6 yards. And so I wanted to kind of know, once I got enough stitches around the hair bow that I was satisfied with, how much yarn did that take? And for me, it ended up being just shy of 6 yards, just shy. So from this one skein, this skein is 38 yards, so I could get 6 of these, right? Out of one skein. And so I've made 5, so I can get 1 more. I'll probably go to Hobby Lobby tomorrow and grab some additional yarn. I'll probably, if they have black, I'll probably get black, since that's the hair tie that I have, and black kind of goes with everything. So that's what I'll probably do. Another thing about the faux fur, like this color, I have to trim my ends. I haven't trimmed the ends, so, oh no, I hadn't, that was my fault. I hadn't tied this yet. So, so I wasn't supposed to do that. Once you're done, you're supposed to tie a knot. I haven't tied a knot in this, so I'll have to go back and do some surgery on this one to fix it. But I'll probably end up keeping that one anyway, because I don't want to just give one person the faux fur one and everybody else gets velvet. I don't want anybody to feel a type of way. So I'm gonna show you guys how I make that. We'll start with that, because that's the fastest thing to make. You can literally make it in 10 minutes or less, especially if you get a groove going on this. Now the most fiddly part of this project is the very first stitch. So there are some options. Where's my crochet hook? There we go. Let's turn it down so you guys can see. All right, so one option is to tie this onto here. But when I tie it on, I had some difficulty getting the slip knot down to where it needed to be. It was a little fiddly, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. I'm gonna look at the time. It is 7:50, so let's time this, right? This is not a lesson on how to crochet. This is just a tutorial on how I am putting this little thing together. You want to leave a little bit of a tail so that you can tie a knot, but not too much of a tail. To me, this is, I mean, you can do this either way. You can either tie it on here, or you can just try to make your first stitch on here. But I had some difficulty trying to do it that way. So I'm just going to tie a knot, just a regular square knot, and just get it on here. Just pull it tight, but not so tight that I break the yarn. Okay? And now I just want to put a slip knot on my hook. I'm going to keep my chubby hands out the way. Y'all can tell I'm not like some master crocheter, right? All right, so then I just want to get that slip knot down as far close to that tie as I can before I pull it tight. I got this on the wrong side. Let's move that. Okay. So it's still a bit fiddly no matter what, but it's on there. Alright, and so now we're just going to half double crochet into the loop. So we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, pull it through all 3 loops on the hook. That's 1. Two, 3, 4. With this yarn, that is sometimes it will come off the hook. I think honestly, if I had well, I'm using a 10 millimeter. I'm using a P, but the next size hook I have, I have an 11.5 somewhere, but I'm using it for another project and I don't feel like going to get it. The 11.5 might be better. I'm not sure. But after you get a few stitches on there, you just kind of want to scooch them over, right? You just kind of want to scooch them over. This is why I don't do tutorials. It's hard for me to show you. So just keep going. 4. I don't know if that's 4 or 5. And then as you keep going, just scooch them over on your hair tie. Just want to keep scooching and just keep half double crocheting. I love a half double crochet. A lot, actually. And basically, I mean, you can count them if you want. If you want to count them, you can. But you just really kind of want to get it to where you can't fit any more stitches up there, realistically. For me, that tends to be about, for me, for this yarn and this particular hair tie, that tends to be about 25 stitches maybe. I'm just going to keep going. And when you get to your last one, you're going to just slip stitch to the top of your first half double crochet. This is such an inexpensive gift. So inexpensive, because literally you can get this yarn, I think full price is $4.99, but you know, Hobby Lobby's always 30% off, so it's $3.49, and you can get 6 of them out of that, right? That's our tail. Dig that out. I didn't mean to crochet over my tail, but I did. I'm just going to get it out. Because you're going to tie. That's how you're just going to knot it. It's just a simple knot. So I think I'm going to do 2 more stitches on here. I think I'd like that. Yeah, I think that's good. Just get it to where you like it. So let's slip stitch. I think the pattern says, in the pattern it says 30 to 35 stitches. But for me, for this yarn and for for this yarn and for this particular hair tie, I don't like that. I think that's too many. And see, this is my 6 yard mark right here. Or, yeah. So I'm just going to cut this. Pull it through. Now, you do kind of want to keep your tail where it's supposed to be. I didn't. I ended up crocheting my tail over my tail a little bit. And so it ended up in a different position than where I really want it to be. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's going to be visible in the project. So I'm just going to go ahead and tie my square knot anyway. Well, actually it might. Hold on. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use my crochet hook to pull this closer to my my tail. Of course, when you film it, that's when you make all the mistakes, right? So I'm just going to tie 2 knots, just 2 square knots, that's it. And then I'm just going to cut these tails. I'm trying to get some of the fuzz out the way because it's so fuzzy when you cut it. Cut this one. And then I just kind of fluff it a little bit so that where I cut, because it's just not really pretty where you cut. Oh no, I think I cut my knot. I cut my knot, guys. I'm going to have to fix that. I would refilm this, but I can't because I'm out of yarn. So let's fix it. So I'm just going to put the loops. Just going to put my loop back onto my hook. So yeah, be careful not to cut your your knot, or you'll just, what happened to me will happen to you. So I'm just going to do that again. It's going to be kind of short. I'm just going to remake that stitch, that half double. Okay. The yarn is really forgiving because it's so fluffy. And then I'm just going to wrap this. How am I going to tie it now? I'll just use a tapestry needle and weave this through and tie a knot that way. Where is my needle? This might actually be too long. So I'm just going to stick it through one of the stitches. And then I'm going to stick it back through the same stitch. And then I'm going to put it through the hole. So that I can knot it. And I'm going to do that one more time. This is really too long. I have a shorter one. Where is it? So, if you don't mess up like me and cut your knot, it takes about 10 minutes. Now, of course, I mess up when I'm filming, okay? I literally made all of these with no issue, right? As soon as I cut the camera on. Mistakes. All right, so I'm going to find my, there it should be here. All right, is it on this one? No, it's on the other one. Well, so this is how I would fix it, guys. If I made this mistake, um, what I would do is if I accidentally cut the knot, is I would just take that end, and I wouldn't just weave it in like a normal quilt project. I would actually tie a knot. So I put it through the stitch. See how fuzzy it is when you cut it? It's so messy. Such messy yarn. I'm going to have to use my lint roller to clean all this up. Okay, so let's put it through. Now I have a loop there. So I'm going to put it through the loop. It's just really tiny, and tie a knot. So now it's double knotted. And so now I'm going to cut it properly and not cut the knot this time. So just get all the bits off. And then I just want to hide that in there. It's still a little wonky right there, but there's really nothing I can do about it. You can tell, like, if somebody knew what they were doing, they can tell that I messed this one up. They can tell. But I'm not going to worry about it. It's a gift. The other ones I made were fine. I'm sure the ones that I make next will be fine as well. So I'm just not going to worry about it. Just not. So even with all of my issues and problems and having to fix things, it still took 15 minutes. If you're a better crocheter than I am, you can definitely get it done pretty quickly. The other ones I got done, the first one took a little bit longer because it was the first one, but the other ones that I did took 10 minutes or less. So I'm sure some of you could knock this puppy out in 5 minutes. So, and for the price, where you can make 6 of them for $3.50, this is even something you could sell. It would be a little more than $3.50 because you'd have to buy the hair ties. So say $4. Well, no, sorry. If you went to the Dollar Tree and you got a pack of these, it would be $4.50. And you got like just a pack of 10 or whatever, it would be $4.50. Or sorry, $4.75 because things are $1.25 at the Dollar Tree now. So it would be $4.75, and you could make 6 of those hair ties. So not a bad gift. Really inexpensive, really quick to make. You can literally, while you're watching a TV show, knock out like 20 of these while you watch a movie or something. They're that fast. So that's probably going to be my nighttime activity. Not tonight because I have to go to Hobby Lobby and get more yarn, but I plan to go there tomorrow. So my plan is going to be probably tomorrow night because Adrian won't be home. He is going to be going to a football game. And so he's going to be leaving tomorrow because the game is on Sunday. So I'll be home alone. Not home alone, but he won't be here tomorrow night. So I'll be able to just I'll probably put a movie on. Sometimes when he's not here, that's when I'll watch things that I might want to watch, but he doesn't. Sometimes during the day also, but during the day I usually don't like to watch movies. I like to watch more either YouTube videos or TV shows or things like that. Normally YouTube videos, but sometimes TV shows. But if I'm going to watch a movie, I don't like to do that really during the day. I kind of wait for that. But since he's not going to be here, there is a movie that came out on Netflix that I want to see, that everybody was talking about. I forgot what it's called. But I'll probably watch that tomorrow night and knock out like 20 of these. And then I'll have all that I need. I don't even think I need to make that many, to be honest. Okay. Second project. Oh, and if I did not mention, I will put the link in the description to the pattern. This is a free pattern from Your Inspirations, written by the gal over at Daisy Farm Crafts. I like to follow her work sometimes. But I'll put the link for that. So it's a free pattern. Even though you don't really need a pattern, there is a free pattern. I'll put the link in the description. All right. The next one takes, I don't know how long it takes because I never timed myself making it, right? So this is our key fob. And what we're going for is this here. This is what we want it to look like. I got to move all these yarn bits. Hold on, guys, because it's going to melt under my iron. Okay, sorry. I just, I was really concerned about all of that acrylic. And there's still some. I don't want it to melt on my iron. So this is what we're going for. Now, I don't have a pattern for this. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you what I did. I don't have a pattern because I followed several different tutorials and pulled from them. So I pulled from a Sally Tomato tutorial. I pulled from a Missouri Star tutorial. And I pulled from Jess over at Okla Roots. Those are the three people that I kind of mishmashed this for. So my iron is not hot. So the first thing you want to do is you want to cut a piece of fabric that is 4 by 14. Let me line this up. This is like a knot. So you want a piece of fabric that's 4 by 14. Okay. And then what you want to do is that you want to fold it in half. You want a 1/2 inch fold. So you can eyeball it if you want. I tend to be a bit anal, so I marked mine. And basically what I did was I just marked down 1 inch. On both sides. Okay, and then I just folded, let me get in frame. I just folded down to that mark. If you have the little silicone thimbles, this is a good time to use them. I'm going to put mine on because I almost just burned myself. And then I'm going to fold the other half. The other side, I mean. Just down to that line. I got these from one of the Open Gate subscription boxes, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so then we're just going to iron this in half, and a little water helps. Or if you have steam on your iron, that'll work too. Okay. And then we're going to press each side into the middle. I can still see that gray acrylic fuzz from that yarn. Press this side into the middle. Now, if you've got steam in your iron, you can probably just go with the steam. But I don't put water in this iron because it was so daggone expensive. So if I want to iron with steam, I use a different iron. Other than that, I just spritz a little water. Okay. And then we're going to just fold it onto itself. Then you need a piece of batting. I cut my piece of batting 3/4 of an inch by 13 inches. And we're just going to pop that into one side. Just kind of center it. It's a little on the long side. You could probably cut it a little shorter than 12.5. I think I did 12.5. Yeah, you could probably do a little shorter. So I'm probably just gonna, you could do a little shorter, but this is fine. I'm just gonna leave it. So if you only have 12 inches, that'll probably work too. We're just gonna iron this. Now this batting is fusible batting, but it's not necessary to use fusible batting. Those are just the scraps that I had handy. And we're just gonna fold this back onto itself and give it another press with that fusible in there. Okay. So then this goes to the machine and you just sew around the edges. That's it. 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to switch to the other camera so I can show you that. Okay. So here's our piece and literally we're just going to sew around it. I just have this scrap piece here so I don't end up with a rat's nest on the back of my work. Oh, I'm going to set my stitch length to 3. I'm going to go on the slow side because I have very thin thread in here. I have 100 weight thread in here. Alright, I normally just come to the end and I pivot. But it really doesn't matter because nobody's going to see that anyway. Nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to see those ends because that's where your hardware is going to go. I don't want to get too happy and start sewing too fast and make the thread break. Because this thread is so thin that if I sew too fast through all these layers, the thread will break. And then I'm just going to turn and pivot and sew to this side. Cut my thread. And then I'm just going to sew this together. You actually don't have to do this if you don't want to. I just prefer to. Oh, hold on. My needle became unthreaded because this yarn is so stinking fine that when I cut the thread, it will pop out of my needle. I never have smooth sailing when I try to show anything. Like every mistake I could possibly make, everything that could possibly go wrong, like absolutely stinking does. I'm using this little hummingbird needle threader. I know that the Juki has a needle threader. I can never figure out how to use it. I did watch a tutorial that does show you how to do it. It's several steps. It's annoying. And so for me, I just prefer to use a needle threader. just going to sew this together. And go back. And then sew forward. So I basically sewed forward, sewed backwards, and then sewed forward again, just so that it's nice and secure. That way, even if my hardware were to come off at some point, the key fob will still kind of be intact. All right. So back over to this camera. So basically, I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. Where my scissors go? There's a couple of stray threads, so I'm just going to cut those. All right. So now I'm just going to get a little bit of 505, not 505, E6000. Now, I don't know if you've worked with this stuff before, but it can be a bit on the dangerous side. So you should definitely have something down on your table when you use it. I don't want to use one of my little tips because I just need a tiny bit of glue. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of glue. Just a little. And I'm going to spread it out because I'm going to put a little bit on this top edge too. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put the top back on this glue. I don't want it shooting everywhere. And I'm going to spread the glue out. Normally I would just use one of the little tips that comes with it, but I didn't want to waste a tip because this is the only one I'm going to be doing today. So I didn't want the glue to harden, and I ended up wasting one of the tips that comes with the glue. All right, so we just do that. And then we grab our hardware. I got this hardware off of Amazon. The hardware came with some of these, and these little matching tassels. Well, not really matching tassels. So I'm going to just use this silver one. I only put glue on one side. I only put glue on the side where there are no prongs. Because if you put glue on this side, it's just going to skeet out the holes and waste your glue and make a mess. So I'm just going to put this in here. I find it easier to kind of put it in on the prong side, like kind of put it in on an angle like that and just kind of tilt it. But if I have trouble, if it doesn't want to go all the way in, I'll just kind of use the stiletto to push. And just want to make sure it's kind of centered in there. And then when I bought my hardware, it came with this tool. And you use this to close your fob. And then any glue that came out, you can just kind of clean that up. All right. Mine's a little off center. I'm not going to be super concerned about it. Again, these are gifts. These are not items that I'm selling. I'm not going for perfection here. And also, it's a little harder for me to get things perfect when I'm talking and trying to demo. So this should have been moved over a tiny bit, but I don't think anyone's going to care. And then I'll just pop one of these on here. And there we go. Now, when you're making these, I recommend just kind of assembly lining everything. So what I do is I kind of do all my pressing, right? So I'll just make a bunch of these. Just get all of these pressed in half, with the ends pressed down, then have them pressed in half and pressed in half again, right? And then I'll just do that for all of them. and then I'll come back in and then I'll add the batting strip for all of them. And then I'll take them to the machine and then I'll sew all of them. And that's kind of how I do them. So it makes it faster when you're making more than one. Okay. All right, so that's our second project. I'll put a link down in the description for the hardware that I bought, but I don't think you necessarily have to get the kit that I bought. You want to get what works for you. I'll probably get something different next time. I know that I don't know if they're all like this because this is my first time doing something like this, but in a lot of cases, like it's like the hardware, the prongs don't go all the way into the fabric. That's another reason why I use the glue to kind of help. And I'm just going to lay this aside and let the glue set for at least 12 hours or whatever, 6 to 12 hours or whatever, before I try to put it in a gift bag or anything like that. All right, so I'm going to clean up and then we'll go to the last project. Okay, so the very last project is going to be the tissue holder. Now, I actually did time this project, not making one, but assembly line sewing. The first time I did 12 and it took me 2 hours. I wasn't familiar with the pattern, and also I think I was kind of fiddling with my phone and looking at videos, and I think I was talking on the phone and that kind of stuff. I was distracted. But the second time I was not, and I just kind of barreled through, and I think I got 12 of them done in like an hour and 20 minutes. Okay, so everything that I'm showing you, once you kind of get the rhythm of it, can be done in 10 minutes or less, and this is no exception. Once you've got the pattern down, I'm not the fastest, but I was able to knock out, and that included loading the tissue in. So I will put a link in the description to the pattern that I'm using. And I will, well, technically I used Monique's pattern, but I don't want to give you that because I don't know if that's okay. So I'm just going to give you a similar one that I found online and direct you there. So again, these can be made in 10 minutes or less. All right, so you need 2 pieces of fabric. One 5.5 by 6.5. That's going to be your outside fabric. And your other fabric is 5.5 by 7.5. That is going to be your lining fabric. You're going to put them right sides together. And we are going to sew down one side, and then we're going to sew down the other side. So there's going to be a gap. We're going to have to do it like that, right? So I'm just going to take this to the machine and go ahead and do that. Other camera. Oh, shoot. Dang it. I forgot about the needle. I mean the thread. This thin thread. The only reason I have this thin thread in here is specifically for the bookmarks. I wanted a thin 100 weight thread for the bookmarks so that it wouldn't be so obvious. It would just be, I just wanted something thinner instead of using a 50 weight. It really didn't matter, but that was just what I chose. I'm going to have to keep that in mind. Alright, that's one side. I am not going to cut the thread using the thread cutter because I don't want to lose my, I don't want to have to rethread this machine again. Come back and do the other side. It came out anyway. So annoying. I'm going to end up having to rethread my machine, guys, with a thread that's not so fine. Because if not, every time I do one of the boxed corners, I'm going to have to rethread my machine, and that's going to be annoying. Okay. All right, so I am going to turn this right side out. And I'm going to press this to the, which way? I forgot. I'm going to press this away from, this is my outer fabric. I'm going to press it away from my outer fabric. Okay, and then we're just going to press it flat. And this fabric is so cheap. This is the that Miss Quilty fabric that I did an unboxing on. If you guys remember, it's very thin. All right, so now we're just gonna fold it down the middle. You can press it if you want to. I don't think it's necessary. And then we're just gonna fold this into the center, each side into the center. Now you can pin or not pin. I'm not gonna pin, but we're basically gonna sew 1/4 inch on both sides. Other camera. Okay, so when I did this, I did each step to each fabric pair, right? So that first, when you're sewing, when you turn your fabric right sides together and you sew that first seam, I did that for all of my pairs. So I just fed through 12, 24, however many it is, I did that for all of them. And then I took them and I went ahead and did that first press because I find it's easier to press that way as opposed to trying to press it the way I just did. It's a little easier when you sew one seam, press it, and then sew the other part and then press that. So I found that to be a little bit easier, a little less fiddly, but since I'm just doing one, I didn't see the point in doing that. All right, so we've got that done. Now the next thing we need to do is box the corners. And all we're going to do, I'm just going to trim some threads I've got hanging here. All right, to box our corners, all we're going to do is kind of open this puppy up and make a triangle down there with our seam. in the middle of it. Boom. That's all we're going to do. We're going to do this to all 4 corners. Now, our measurement is going to be 3/8 of an inch. Now, I did not measure this. I did initially, but once I kind of saw where the 3/8 inch mark, like once I could kind of see how much fabric was hanging outside of my presser foot, then I kind of just eyeballed it from there and everything turned out fine. So that's what we're going to do. All right, I'm going to take this over the machine. I'm going to go ahead and do all 4 corners and then I'll come back. All right, so this is corner number 1. Scissors. Now the other ones I'm not even going to mark or measure or anything. Only thing that I will say is you want to make sure that your seams are going the right way. So since I sewed this one with the seam going that way, I'm going to want to sew this one with the seam going in the same direction. So I'm just going to eyeball this puppy here. Now when I made mine, I believe I did, no, I did not backstitch. I was going to say, did I backstitch? I don't think so. Oh shoot, my thread is stuck. That's corner 2. Here's corner 3. Oh shoot, my machine is not threaded. Lord have mercy. I didn't think about the fact that my machine was threaded with this thin thread and that it might be a problem in my demo. My apologies for that. This little needle threader, I don't know if we got this in Open Gate or So Sampler, but I feel like it was Open Gate. I feel like it might have been in the Christmas box. But I love that little thing. Make sure my seams are going the same way. And this is our last corner. I mean, if you want to backstitch, you can for security, or if you want to sew over the seam, sew the seam twice. If you want to do that, you know, whatever works for you. All right, let's just trim these loose threads. All right, so now we're just going to trim these corners. A scissor will do. You just want to kind of get maybe a 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch away from that seam line that you sewed for your corners and just cut. This just reduces the bulk. And then we flip it inside out. We push out these little corners. And then we're going to put our tissue in there. Make sure it's facing the right way, this way. And there we go. Now, there are some more advanced tutorials where they put a little tab over here. Sometimes people use quilting fabric. Sometimes I've seen people use ribbon, and if I was to do it, I would definitely go with the ribbon because that's going to be less that you have to sew or iron. With the ribbon, you just cut a piece of ribbon, and then when you sew those two sides together, like when we did those, when we had it folded, so when it was looking like this, before we boxed the corners and we sewed those edges, you could put a little piece of ribbon right here, sew right over it when you sew, and then you'll have a little hanger that you can use. And then you could even, if you want to get really fancy, you can take a piece of hardware, specifically these things are so cheap, and you would be able to put that on there. Now, I did not think to do this, but even if I had, I probably wouldn't have, because I was just trying to knock these out for a quick project, and I knew I was giving them away. But if you were going to make these to sell, I think that kind of gives you a little extra pizzazz for really no extra effort and not much extra money, because you could probably get some 3/4 inch ribbon, I would say, or 1/2 inch, probably even 1/2 inch would probably work. Let's see, look. Yeah, I think 1/2 inch ribbon would work. I wouldn't do a quarter, either 3/8 or 1/2 inch, and you could just make you a little, because that would be that wide. It would be that wide. 1/2 inch ribbon would be the same width as that white doesn't want to come into focus, but yeah. So you could definitely add that, and if you added a little piece of hardware like that, that would definitely add a little bit of extra flavor to it. And these are really inexpensive. I don't know exactly how much, but like these are pretty inexpensive. These definitely cost less than these with the teeth, because these are bigger, sturdier. This is small. Like this is, looks like 1.25 inches maybe, or 1 1/8 inches. Yeah, probably about 1.25 inches long. So yeah, these are really inexpensive. So if you were wanted to make these to sell, I think this is a great quick item. I don't know what the demand is for it, but it's certainly something you can make quickly. And I think if you did add that little ribbon, you could even get different colors of ribbon. You know, some people will make it in fabric to match. That's just going to be a little bit more work, right? Because you've got to make that, fold that, and all, so that there's no raw edges showing, so that you can't see the back of the fabric. You would have to fold it, and that would be a little bit more work. But I think ribbon would work really well with one of these little cool dickies on there. You would just have to remember to slip this on, right? So when you put that ribbon on, you've got to put this on the ribbon, because this one doesn't have a way to attach after the fact. You can't. You kind of got to put it on there before you sew this, because it doesn't open. So anyway, those are my 3 quick projects that theoretically you can make in less than 10 minutes, although none of them took me 10 minutes. All of them took me more than that in the demo, partially because I'm talking and partially because I can't talk and do things right at the same time. But yeah, you can definitely whip these up in 10 minutes or less. You can, if you're just doing one, it might take more than 10 minutes if you're just doing one. But if you are doing multiples and you do it the way I said, where you just assembly line sew, you can definitely, like I said, I got 12 done in less than 1.5 hours, and that included stuffing them. So, but I was kind of really focused and going through. But even if you're kind of jacking around and doing other, looking at stuff, you can still get 12 of these done in 2 hours, and that would make it 10 minutes per tissue holder. And then the key fob, which I set over here to dry, again, super quick make. You can make these puppies in 10 minutes. The only thing again with this is that, of course, you have to have the hardware. You have to have the hardware. So you would have to prepare for that. You'd have to prepare for that and have your hardware in advance so that you could go ahead and make these. But this, of course, you would need just your hair bows and your yarn. And this, of course, you just need fabric. Because you don't have to stuff them if you don't want to. I just don't want to give it a gift without stuffing it. Because I feel like people might not know what it is. And not everybody I give this to is going to be around me. And so they might not know what it's for. So I wanted to go ahead and stuff them. Besides, I think it's just a nice gesture, you know? Anyway, that's it for me. And I'll see you guys next video.